Water is the one of primary sources for us humans believes, this creating a lot that protect the rights of all entities related that is related to water. So, good afternoon, sir, and to my classmate. We are the presenter or the presenter of PD 1067, or otherwise known as Water Code of the Philippines. The objectives of this code are to establish the basic principle and framework relating to the appropriation, control, and conservation of water resources, and to achieve the optimum development and rational utilization of these resources. The second one, to define the extent of the rights and obligation of water users and owners, including the protection and regulation of such rights. So the third, to adopt in basic law governing the ownership, appropriation, utilization, exploitation, development, conservation, and protection of water resources, and rights to land related thereto and also. So the last one, to identify the administrative agencies which will enforce this code. The underlying principle of this code are always all water belongs to the state. All waters that belong to the state cannot be subject to acquisitive prescription. Third, the state may allow the use or development of water by administrative concession. And the utilization, exploitation, development, conservation, and protection of water resources shall be subject to the control and regulation of the government through the National Water Resources Council, herein after referred to as the Council. Letter E, preference in the use and development of water shall consider current usage and be responsive to the changing needs of the country. Water, as used in this code, refers to water under the grounds, water above the grounds, water in the atmosphere, and the waters of the sea within the territorial jurisdiction of the Philippines. So, makikita nyo dito, yung water, for example, the sea and atmosphere is pwede nating example yung ulan. Chapter 2, Ownership of Water. The following are belong to the state. First, river and their natural beds. Second, continuous or intermittent waters or upspring and brooks running in their natural beds and beds of themselves. Natural lakes and lagoons, and all other categories of surface water such as flowing overlands, water form, rainfall, whether natural or artificial, and water from agriculture, runoff, seepage, and drainage. And atmospheric water, subterranean or groundwater, and seawater. So, subterranean, ito yung pwede natin i-example yung balloon. So, makikita yung subterranean, yung mga tubig na pwedeng nasa hukay or nasa ilalim. The second one is the following waters found on private lands. So, continuous or intermittent waters rising on such lands. Lakes, lagoons, naturally water rising on such lands. Rainwater and falling on such lands. Subterranean or groundwaters. Ito na nga po yung sinabi ko kanina. And waters, swamps, and marshes. So Article 6, the owner of the land where the water is found may use the same for domestic purposes without securing a permit, provided that such use shall be registered when required by the council. The council, however, may regulate such use when there is wastage or times of emergency. So ito po yung common use of water. Number 1, domestic, agricultural, and industrial. So makikita po natin dito yung mga agricultural needs percentage. So yung pinakamababa po yung domestic needs and sumunod po sa kanya yung industrial needs. So ang pinakamalaki po is agricultural needs wherein 70% po siya. Article 7. Subject to the provision of this code, any person who captures or collects water by means of certain tanks or pools shall have exclusive control over such water and rights to dispose of the same. So Article 7, kung tinatanong nyo what is the purpose of this, is to provide and supplement or increment in terms of agricultural and domestic and also the industrial needs. So Article 8, water legally appropriated shall be subject to the control reaches the appropriator canals or aqueduct leading to the place where the water will be used or stored and thereafter so long as it's being beneficially used for the purposes for which it was appropriated. So Article 8, for example nito is the water dam or the tanks, which is the purpose is to control and maintain the source of water. So for everyday needs and also to provide deduction of water. Chapter 3, appropriation of water. So Article 9, as used in this code, is the acquisition of rights over the use of water or taking or diverting of waters from the natural source in the manner and from any purpose allowed by the law. So dito, magagamit lang daw po yung water or it is free to para gamit. So Article 9 Article 10. Appropriation of water. So tatlo po sila, domestic, municipal, and or irrigation. Domestic, so domestic po, uses such as drinking, food preparation, or paligo at sa ating it is the one who provide water source when it comes or in case of emergency. Ang example po nito is the fire protection or the street cleaning by covered by the municipality. Tapos irrigation. Irrigation is distributed over the across lands by gravity. So dito po sa irrigation, wala po dito ang ginagamit na machine to produce a water. Power generation. So the purpose naman po ng The example of power generation is the power plants, which is generating plants or ay, is an industrial facility for also generating of electric power. Fisheries, ito naman po yung kadalasan makikita natin or the most example of this yung fish pond or palisdaan. Then the livestock raising. Yung livestock raising naman po, ito yung source of water on the farm to maintain and para magkaroon po ng iinumin yung mga hayop nila sa kanilang farm. Industrial. So dito po sa industrial, so this is the water used for such purposes as fabricating. So the example of this is for washing, dilating, cooling, or transporting a product. Tapos, recreational and other purposes.
Good morning, sir. My name is Justin Ariola. So, water permit, water right, is the privilege granted by the government to appropriate in use of water. So, this is property owned, access, use of bodies of water. Water permit, it is the document evidencing the right, the water right. So example of this for irrigation, fisheries, and industrial. And yung kapag may huhukayin ka sa underground, kailangan mo muna pumunta sa or para kumuha ka ng permit dito para makahukay is pupunta ka muna sa National Water Resource Board. Sila yung may karapatan para magbigay sa iyo ng permit. Article 29. Water permits may be revoked after due notice and hearing on grounds of non-use, gross violation of the conditions imposed in the permit. Unauthorized sale of water, willful failure or refusal to comply with rules and regulations or any lawful order. Pollution. Ito naman yung can damage our yamang tubig. Example dito yung sa pollution yung chemical na pwedeng humalo sa ating tubig at yung mga oil spills. Public nuisance or acts detrimental to public health and safety. When the appropriator is found to be disqualified under the law to exploit and develop natural resources of the Philippines. Then, in the case of irrigation, the land is converted to non-agricultural purposes. In other similar grounds. Next. General rules. No person, including government, instrumentation, or government-owned corporation shall appropriate water without a water right, which shall be evidenced by documents known as water permit. So ito na ngayon sinasabi ko kanina na bago ka kailangan muna ng water permit for evidence exception. Any person may appropriate or use natural bodies of water without securing a water permit for any of the following: appropriation of water by means of hand-carried receptacle, bathing or washing, watering or dipping of domestic or farms, animals, and navigation of watercraft, or transportation of logs and other objects by flotation. So sila yung exempt sa mga hindi na sila pwede kumuha ng permit for for bathing or washing, watering or dipping of domestic or farm animals. Chapter 4. Utilization of water. The development of water resources shall consider security of the state, multiple use, beneficial effects, adverse effects, and cost of development. The utilization of subterranean or groundwater shall be coordinated with that of surface water such as rivers, streams, springs, and lakes, so that superior right is in one is not adversely affected by an interior right in the other. Water contained in open canals, aqueducts, or reservoirs for private persons may be used by any person for domestic purpose or for watering plants. So, importante na meron tayo nito na mga na daluyan ng open canals, reservoirs para sa mga tao na for domestic purpose or kaya naman sa mga watering plants. Works for the storage, diversion, distribution, and utilization of water resources shall contain adequate provision for the prevention and control of diseases. So, for utilization of water, makikita niyo ito yung example ng utilization reservoir, ito yung open canal. Ito yung sa domestic use of water sa for drink, sa panglilinis, etc. Utilization of water. When the use of wastewater is feasible, it shall be limited as much as possible to such uses other than direct human consumption. Drainage system shall be so constructed that their outlets are rivers, lakes, the sea, natural bodies of water, with such other a water course as may be approved by the proper government agency. Itong drainage system na ito yung dinadaluyan ng tubig. Papunta ito sa rivers, lakes, sea. Ito rin ay nakakatulong para maiwasan yung flash flood. Lower states are obliged to receive the waters which naturally and without the intervention of man flow from the high states, as well as the stone or earth which they carry with them. The banks or rivers and streams and the shores of the seas and lakes throughout their entire length and within the zone 3 meters in urban areas, 20 meters in agriculture areas and 40 meters in forest areas. Along their margins are subject to the assessment of public use in the interest of recreation, navigation, floatage, fishing, and salvage. No person shall be allowed to stay in the zone longer than what is necessary for recreation, navigation, floatage, fishing, or salvage. As you can see, ito yung drainage. At ito yung direct human consumption. Ito yung drains na dinadaluyan papunta sa lake. Article 39. Except in cases of emergency to save life or property, the construction or repair of the following works shall be undertaken only after the plans and specification therefore, as may be required by the council or approved by the proper government agency. So, kailangan muna na dams for the diversion or storage of water, structures for the use of water power, installation for the utilization of subterranean or groundwater, other structures for utilization of water resource. Chapter 5, Control of Water. To promote the best interest in the coordinate protection of floodplains lands. So, the government may construct necessary flood control structures and declared flood control areas. And for this purpose, it shall have legal assessment as wide as may be needed, along and adjacent to the river bank and outside the bed or channel of the river. River beds, sandbars, and tidal flats may not be cultivated except upon prior permission. Ito yung yung riverbeds, sandbars, and tidal floods. Hindi na cultivated except sa merong permission. River flakes and lagoons may, upon the recommendation of the Philippines Coast Guard, be declared navigable either in whole or in part. The rafting of logs and other subject on rivers and lakes which are floatable may be controlled or prohibited during designated session of the year with due regard to the needs of irrigation and domestic water supply and other uses of water. The impounding of water in ponds or reservoirs may be prohibited by the council upon consultation with the Department of Health if it is dangerous to the public health, or it may be ordered that such pond or reservoir be drained if such is necessary for the protection of public health. Food controls structures. Ito yung levee na dumadaan dito yung tubig. And sa katabi niyan for what pandilig sa mga sa tree. Checking dam and gabion road. Retaining wall.
Chapter 6, Conservations and Protections of Water, Watershed, and Related Land Resources. Article 66. Established by the Council under such conditions as may be necessary for the protections of environment. So, Article 6 is all about the way on how to protect our environment by the indications of danger. So it has a 4 category. Can gradually solutions to such as problem. So first category is how to control pollution. So we need to follow the 3 R's, which is it refers. Ay, kaya 10 minutes pa man. O kaya. So way back, Article 66 is established by the Council under such as conditions may be necessary for the of environment. So Article 6 is all about the way on how to protect our environment by the indication of danger. So it has a 4 category can gradually solution to such as problem. So first category is control pollution. So how we control pollution? So we need to follow the 3R, which is reduce, 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 and recycle. This is we need to follow this to minimize and control pollution. And first and second, navigation. Navigation is a routine activity. We need to control we need to control and be responsible to care our environment. Paano? Through cleaning, joining tree planting, and home gardening. This activity can help to control the threats of climate change. So, and last and third is preventions and self-damage. So this is another reason why we need to be disciplined ourselves for also to protect the source on how to preserve foods and general use. And any watershed or any area land adjacent to any surface water can overlying any groundwater may be declared by the Department of Nature Resources as the protected area. Resources regulations may be promulgated by the Department of Prohibited or controls as activity may be owned or occupant thereof within the protections area, which may damage or cause the deteriorations of surface water or groundwater and interface with the government we did the investigation rather, use, control, protection, management, and administrations of such water. So DNR is also, it has the right to control and protections the natural resources to avoid deteriorations of the surface. So that's why mga area na pinagkukunan ng kailangan ay pinoprotektahan ng DNR para mas ma-preserve or maging maayos yung chapter 7, administrations of water and enforcement of the provision. Administration may be enforced of the provision of this code, including the granting of permit and to enforce the violations hereof are hereby vested in the council, and except in the regards to those functions which under the code and specifically conferred upon other agency for the government, the council is hereby empowered to make all decisions and determinations provided for this code. The decision of this council on water rights controversies may be appealed for the court of the first instance of the province where the subject matter of the controversies is situated. Within the 15 days from the third party with appeal receive a copy of the decision or any of the following grounds: grave abuse in discretion, questions of law, and questions of fact and law. Chapter 8 is all about the penalties of provisions. So Article 9, the following act shall be finalized suspensions or revocations of the violator, water permit or water rights to use the water, and or fines are not exceeding 1,000 pesos and the decretions of the council. A is appropriations of the subterranean or groundwater for the domestic use by the overlying landowner without registrations required by the council. And B, non-observance or any standard of the beneficials of use of water. So failure, and C is failure of the appropriator to keep a records of water withdrawal when required. And D, failure to comply with any terms or conditions in water permit or a water rights grant. And E is utilized unauthorized use of water for a purpose another than that for which a right or permit was granted. And F, constructions or repair of any hydraulic works or structures without duly approved plans and specifications were required. And G is failure to install a regulating and measuring device for the control of the volume of water appropriated with the required. So Article 9 is all about the penalties if the person's not follow the instructions or it has violations for violations to use or to sa mga magkaroon ng violation sa paggamit ng tubig or walang approval ng government, pwede siyang kasuhan or mag and GIH, utilize unauthorized sale, lease, or transfer of water or water rights, failure to provide adequate facilities to prevent or control